Welcome to Affair Confessions, where secrets, lies, and betrayals come to life. Get ready for thrilling stories that explore the dark side of love and temptation. Subscribe and let the story begin.
Don't forget to watch part 1 first. The ocean breeze felt like freedom, but the weight of my secret desire for Liam still clung to me, even after all these months. We had all arrived at the beach house separately. It had been months since our last trip, but the memory of what I'd seen and felt hadn't faded. Liam and Hannah were the first to arrive, lounging on the deck with drinks, laughing, but I caught Liam's familiar teasing glances in my direction, the same looks that had sparked something dangerous last time. Dylan and I followed, the silence between us growing heavier with each trip. Elena and Nick brought their usual energy, excited and carefree. But when Marcus and Sarah finally pulled up last, I saw the shift in Liam. His eyes lingered on her as she stepped out of the car, unaware or pretending not to notice, the heat of his gaze. Months had passed, but the tension between them and between all of us hadn't gone anywhere. Sarah smiled at Marcus, but I could see something unspoken in the way Liam watched her. This weekend was meant to be a relaxing escape, but deep down, I knew the real storm was just beginning. After unpacking, we all went to change into swimsuits because we are going kayaking. I chose my most daring one, a sleek black bikini that barely covered anything. The top was tight, barely holding me in, and the bottoms rode high on my hips, leaving little to the imagination. Dylan's hands were on me the moment we stepped into the room, sliding across my skin as I adjusted the bikini in front of the mirror. I tried to stay focused on him, but my mind kept drifting back to Liam, wondering if he was thinking about me the way I was thinking about him. Then I saw him, Liam, watching through the small crack in the door. His eyes were locked on me, drinking in every inch of my body. My pulse quickened, heat spreading through me as his gaze lingered, and an excitement I couldn't control built inside me. Dylan's hand slid lower, slipping beneath my bikini bottoms. His hands found just the right spot, and the thrill of being watched by Liam only made it more intense. I let out a soft breath, leaning into Dylan's touch as his fingers lit me up like a candle in the night. But my eyes stayed on Liam. I held his gaze as Dylan's fingers played me like a piano, my body responding to the rhythm, the sensation growing stronger. Liam didn't look away, his eyes dark with desire, watching every second of it. The way he looked at me, the power of his attention, only made me feel better. Dylan kept playing me, his other hand gripping my waist, but all I could think about was the way Liam was watching. My body tensed with every movement, the pleasure building as I kept my eyes locked on Liam, feeling him take in every moment. Dylan's fingers moved faster, playing the song of our intimate situation harder as my body responded to every touch. My breath became shallow, and the thrill of knowing Liam was still watching sent waves of heat through me. I could feel myself getting closer, the pressure building inside with each movement. Liam's eyes were locked on mine, dark and intense, as if he was daring me to finish right there, knowing he was watching. I bit my lip, my body tensing, and before I could stop it, the wave of pleasure crashed over me. I reached a new high, my body trembling, my legs shaking as I struggled to stay quiet, my gaze still fixed on Liam. Dylan smiled softly, oblivious to the fact that Liam had seen everything. He kissed my neck, satisfied, but I was already thinking about what had just happened and what might come next. I quickly straightened my bikini and glanced back at the door, but Liam had already disappeared. My heart was still racing, but I knew we had to join the others soon. Later, we all gathered by the shed to grab the kayaks, the sun beating down, laughter and chatter filling the air. But the tension between Liam and me was unmistakable, a quiet current running beneath the surface. I couldn't forget the way he'd watched me earlier, how his eyes had burned into mine as Dylan had no idea. As I bent down to pull one of the kayaks from the rack, I felt Liam behind me. His hand grazed my skin, sending a thrill through me. Before I could straighten, he leaned in close, his breath warm against my ear. "How does it feel?" he whispered, his voice low and teasing. "To have the roles reversed, me watching you this time." The word sent a shiver down my spine, the meaning clear. He hadn't forgotten the night I'd watched him and Sarah. My pulse quickened as his lips lingered near my ear for a moment longer, before he straightened, giving me a slow, knowing smile. I stood there, breathless and flushed, as he casually walked back to join the others, his words still echoing in my head. After Liam's whisper, my heart still raced, but I pushed the feeling aside as we launched the kayaks into the calm water. The group paddled out together, laughter filling the air as we glided across the lake, the sun sparkling on the surface. Dylan paddled beside me, unaware of the electric undercurrent between Liam and me. Sarah and Marcus splashed one another playfully, and Hannah and Liam kept pace, paddling close by. I couldn't help but steal glances at Liam, catching his knowing smirk every now and then. The water was refreshing, but the tension simmered beneath the surface. After kayaking, we returned to the house, the sun starting to set, and the group quickly set up for a BBQ. The smell of grilling meat and vegetables filled the air as the drinks started to flow freely. Everyone relaxed, the day winding down with cold beers and laughter as the evening settled in. By the time their food was finished, we were all more than tipsy, leaning into the easy comfort of friends, forgetting about the unspoken tension for a little while. But the alcohol only made things looser. By the time the stars began twinkling overhead, Elena was the first to suggest it. "Let's play Truth or Dare," she said, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Everyone laughed, but the idea caught on quickly. The alcohol had lowered everyone's inhibitions, and before long, we all circled up around the fire pit, passing around shots as the game began. "I'll start," Nick announced. "Sarah, Truth or Dare?" Sarah smirked. "Dare, obviously." He grinned, the alcohol clearly boosting his confidence. "All right, I dare you to run down to the water in just your underwear." The group erupted in laughter as Sarah, never one to back down, peeled off her clothes until she was left in just her bra and panties. She took off running toward the beach, her laughter echoing through the night as we all cheered her on. The game quickly escalated. With each turn, the dares became bolder, the questions more revealing. The tension was thick, with everyone pushing the boundaries just a little more, the alcohol dulling any sense of hesitation. I felt Liam's eyes on me the whole time, the memory of his whisper still lingering, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the game brought us even closer to the edge. "Liam," Dylan slurred slightly, taking his turn. "Truth or dare?" Liam's eyes flicked to mine for a brief second before he answered. "Dare." A grin spread across Dylan's face. "I dare you to kiss someone other than Hannah, for 10 seconds. The group laughed and oohed, the tension skyrocketing instantly. My pulse quickened, my gaze flicking between Liam and Hannah, but I knew deep down it wasn't her he'd be thinking about. My heart pounded as Liam smirked, his eyes darting between me and Sarah. "Why just one?" Liam asked, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "How about 2 at once?" The group erupted into cheers, their excitement rising as Liam looked at me first, then Sarah. "Sarah and her," he said confidently, pointing at the both of us. The cheers grew louder, the game quickly becoming more daring. I hesitated for a second, my pulse racing, but then I turned to look at Dylan. His eyes met mine, and with a knowing smile, he gave me a nod. Okay. It was all I needed. A rush of excitement shot through me as I turned back toward Liam and Sarah. Liam stood up and knelt between us, placing a hand on each of our backs. His touch sent a shiver down my spine, and I could feel the same tension from Sarah as her playful smile became something more daring. "Ready?" Liam asked, his voice low, teasing. Sarah leaned in first, her lips meeting Liam's in a slow, deliberate kiss. The group cheered louder, their voices blending with the crackling fire. I watched, my heart racing, and when Liam turned toward me, his hand tightened on my back, pulling me closer. Then it was my turn. Liam kissed me, his lips firm and warm, but before I could fully sink into it, Sarah's lips brushed against mine. The crowd erupted in louder cheers, egging us on as her tongue flicked playfully against my bottom lip. A gasp escaped me, and I felt Liam's smile against my lips. Sarah's kiss deepened, her lips sliding against mine, soft and teasing. My breath hitched as her body pressed against mine, and Liam shifted between us, his lips moving from me to her and back again. The group's wild cheers fueled the heat between us, the moment growing more intense by the second. Her lips were warm, playful, and deliberate, and I could taste the sweet mix of alcohol on her lips. Every movement felt electric as she kissed me deeper, our lips and tongues intertwined. Liam's hand tightened on my waist, guiding both of us closer as the energy around the fire surged. I glanced at Dylan once more, catching his approving nod as the moment continued. His smile reassured me, and the thrill of Liam and Sarah overtaking my senses felt even more freeing. The cheers of the group roared in the background, but I was lost in the heat of the moment, the thrill of the kiss, the mix of sensations driving me further. When Liam finally pulled away, a smug grin on his face, the crowd erupted into applause and laughter. The game moved on, but the fire between us had been lit, and I knew this weekend was just beginning. The game moved on, laughter echoing around the fire as the guys dared each other to do ridiculous things, like Nick making Marcus run naked down to the water and back. The group cheered as Marcus sprinted off, but my mind wasn't on the game anymore. The kiss from earlier still lingered on my lips, but it wasn't just Liam I was thinking about. It was Sarah. The feel of her lips sliding against mine, the softness of her lips. It left me breathless. I realized with a sudden jolt that I wasn't just attracted to Liam. I had the hots for Sarah too. As the game continued, with more dares and laughter, I couldn't shake the heat building inside me. The intensity of the kiss, the way her body had pressed against mine, it stirred something I hadn't expected. Now, I wasn't just thinking about Liam. I wanted Sarah, too. The game continued, escalating with laughter and dares until someone yelled, "Let's go skinny dipping!" The group cheered wildly, and in a blur of excitement and alcohol-fueled boldness, everyone began stripping each other down. Sarah turned to me with a playful smile, and without hesitation we started undressing each other, our fingers fumbling with bikini straps as we laughed. The intimacy of the moment sent a thrill through me. As I slipped off her bikini top and she removed mine, I could feel the electric tension simmering beneath our playful energy. Once we were bare, we ran toward the sea, splashing into the cool water. The others scattered, laughing and swimming, but Sarah and I drifted away from the group, just far enough to have some space. "I liked that kiss earlier," Sarah said softly, the water lapping around us. "Yeah, me too," I admitted, my voice quieter, heart pounding. The tension was unmistakable now. Under the water, I felt her hand brush lightly against my thigh. My breath caught in my throat, the contact sending a spark through me. We floated closer, our bodies brushing under the surface, the touch lingering. Her fingers grazed my leg again, this time more deliberately, and I couldn't ignore the heat building between us. The water made the sensation even more intense, every small touch feeling amplified. We didn't need words. The connection between us was clear. Sarah's hand lingered, teasing me under the water, and I found myself leaning into the moment, wondering just how far this would go. As Sarah's hand lingered on my thigh under the water, I couldn't resist any longer. I reached out, my fingers finding her waist and sliding down to mirror her touch. The cool waves splashed around us, but beneath the surface, our hands explored each other, subtle yet deliberate. The tension between us was undeniable, and with every gentle stroke, the heat grew stronger. All around us, the others splashed and swam, laughing and carefree. Nick and Elena were teasing each other, Marcus was trying to dunk Hannah, and the water was filled with the sound of fun. But none of them had any idea what was happening just a few feet away between Sarah and me. I felt Sarah's fingers graze higher along my thigh, and my heart raced, my body responding to her touch. I slid my hand lower along her back, feeling her soft skin under the water, my pulse quickening with each passing second. The playful energy between us turned into something more electric, more dangerous. Just as our bodies pressed closer, trying to keep our movements hidden, I caught a glimpse of Dylan swimming toward us. "Hey, you two look like you're having fun." Dylan laughed as he reached us, his arm wrapping casually around my waist. His grin was wide, completely oblivious to what was happening beneath the surface. Sarah's hand still rested on my leg, her touch barely hidden as she smiled innocently at Dylan. "Yeah, just enjoying the water," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady while Sarah's fingers trailed along my thigh, teasing me beneath the waves. The others were still splashing and laughing nearby, no one noticing the charged moment happening between the three of us. The thrill of Dylan being so close, completely unaware of the secret touches between me and Sarah, only heightened the tension. I glanced at Sarah, our eyes locking for a brief moment, both of us knowing this was far from over. After the excitement of the skinny dipping, we all swam back to shore, laughing as we grabbed our clothes from the beach. The cool night air contrasted with the warmth still buzzing between us, the playful mood from the night lingering. One by one, we got dressed, pulling on our clothes as we prepared to head back to the house. Sarah caught my eye as she adjusted her bikini, a teasing smile playing on her lips. The brief moment we'd shared under the water still hummed in my mind, but we said nothing as we fell into step with the rest of the group, walking back toward the house. As we walked, Dylan slipped his arm around my waist and leaned in close, chuckling softly. "That was kinda hot, you and Sarah kissing earlier," he said, his voice low, the alcohol making him bolder. I felt a rush of warmth at the memory, but I tried to keep my tone light. "Yeah, just part of the game," I said with a smirk, though my mind couldn't shake the feeling of Sarah's lips and hands from earlier. Dylan grinned, his grip tightening on my waist as he whispered, "Just wish I was Liam at that moment." His words sent a ripple of excitement through me, but also a sense of danger. He had no idea just how intense that kiss had felt, or what had happened after it, beneath the surface of the water. I glanced over at Sarah walking ahead of us, and the memory of her hand brushing against my thigh under the water flashed in my mind. I gave Dylan a playful smile, but inside I couldn't stop thinking about how the night had shifted in ways no one fully understood. And as we walked back to the house, I knew this was only the beginning. After a wild night, we woke up to a warm, sunny morning, the tension from the day before still lingering. Over breakfast, Elena came up with the idea for a fun team game to get us all moving. "Something that'll get us out and moving a bit," she suggested, her eyes gleaming. After Elena proposed the game, the four of us, Liam, Sarah, Dylan, and I, found a quiet, secluded part of the beach to start the blindfolded hunt. The rules were simple: one person blindfolded, the other guiding them through obstacles scattered across the sand to find hidden tokens. But as soon as the game began, I could feel the playful energy between Liam, Sarah, and me bubbling just beneath the surface. Dylan was the first to be blindfolded, and I couldn't resist the opportunity to stir things up. As I tied the fabric over his eyes, I exchanged a knowing glance with Liam, who raised an eyebrow. sensing something more was about to happen. With Dylan unable to see, I took a step back and, with a quick motion, pulled down my bikini top, flashing my chest to Liam. His eyes widened, a mischievous grin spreading across his face as he watched, but Dylan was completely oblivious, waiting for my directions to continue the game. The thrill of being watched sent a rush through me. I quickly adjusted my top again and turned back to Sarah, who was waiting, blindfolded and unaware of what had just happened. I moved behind her, untying the knot of her blindfold slowly, savoring the moment as her vision returned. Before Sarah could fully process what was happening, I leaned in and whispered, "Your turn," my voice low and teasing. Without hesitation, I reached for her bikini top, sliding it down and revealing her breasts to Liam, who watched the entire exchange with a gleam in his eye. Sarah giggled, half in shock, but the playful energy between the three of us had already taken over. With Dylan still blindfolded and oblivious, Sarah stood there, her bikini top pulled down as Liam watched, a knowing smirk on his face. The playful energy between us crackled, and for a moment, the world felt smaller, more intimate. Just the three of us sharing something secret, something charged. Sarah giggled, half surprised, but the tension between us grew with every passing second. As I leaned in close to her, the thrill of the moment electrified the air between us. I brushed a stray strand of hair from her face and leaned in even closer, my lips hovering near her ear. "I saw you," I whispered, my voice low and filled with a hint of teasing. "I saw the two of you in the hot tub the other weekend." Sarah's breath hitched slightly, her body stiffening for just a moment before she turned to face me. She looked into my eyes, the playful glint replaced by something else, something deeper, more serious. Her lips parted slightly, her surprise evident, but the intensity of the moment didn't break. Liam stood just a few steps away, still watching us, unaware of the whispered confession. The beach, the game, and the rest of the world seemed to fade into the background as Sarah processed my words. The silence between us was heavy, and I could feel her pulse quicken, the weight of what I'd said hanging in the air. She glanced at Liam, and then back to me, a subtle mix of curiosity and tension filling her gaze. The playful game had transformed into something much more dangerous, and I could see the thoughts racing through Sarah's mind. We weren't just playing anymore. We were crossing into something deeper. After the playful tension of the game on the beach, we all made our way back to the beach house, the sun slowly dipping toward the horizon. Laughter and chatter filled the air as everyone shook off the remnants of the game. But my mind was elsewhere. Every glance between Liam, Sarah, and me felt heavier, the unspoken desire between us growing stronger with each passing moment. As we walked through the door, I found myself scanning the house, looking for a moment, a place, where the three of us could be alone. The energy between us had been simmering all day, and now, back in the privacy of the house, it felt like we were on the edge of something inevitable. Dylan and the others headed toward the kitchen to grab more drinks, oblivious to the current running between the three of us. I exchanged a glance with Liam, then with Sarah, the silent understanding passing between us. We just needed the right moment. The evening passed quietly, with the group lounging around, chatting and unwinding. There were no real opportunities for anything more. The tension between Liam, Sarah, and me lingered, but we kept it under wraps, enjoying the evening as just part of the group. The next day, we decided to explore some of the small islands off the shore, hiring a few small boats. It was the perfect way to spend the day: warm sun, clear water, and a sense of adventure. By chance, or perhaps some subtle planning, I ended up on a boat with Liam and Sarah, while the others split up on two separate boats. As we untied from the dock and set off toward the islands, the sea breeze felt refreshing, and the tension from the previous night began to creep back. The water was calm, and we sailed leisurely toward the scattered islands. The others drifted ahead in the distance, their laughter carrying over the water. But our boat stayed just far enough behind, creating a sense of privacy I hadn't expected. Sarah leaned back, her sunglasses covering her eyes, a faint smile playing on her lips. Liam took the wheel, guiding us smoothly through the shallow channels between the islands. The quiet between us wasn't awkward, it was charged. Every now and then, we exchanged glances, the unspoken energy between the three of us growing stronger as the boat drifted farther from the others. After some time, we found a small, secluded cove on one of the islands, hidden by rocks and trees. It was the perfect spot to anchor, far from the others. The gentle lapping of the water against the boat added to the sense of isolation. And as we slowed to a stop, I realized we had stumbled upon the moment we had been waiting for. The boat rocked gently as we sat in the quiet, the world beyond us feeling distant, almost forgotten. As we waded ashore and found the perfect spot on the beach, Sarah knelt down to spread out her towel. The sun glinted off her skin, and I couldn't help but admire the way her tiny bikini hugged her body, especially from behind. The way the fabric of her thong bikini barely covered her made it impossible not to notice. Every curve of her body seemed to glisten under the bright sun, and for a moment, I was completely captivated. Liam stood nearby, adjusting his towel, but I could tell his eyes had also lingered on Sarah, the same unspoken tension hanging in the air between the three of us. We were far from the others, completely alone, the perfect beach laid out before us. But it wasn't just the sun and the sea that had our attention. It was each other. As Sarah lay down on her towel, her body perfectly framed by the sand and sunlight, I caught a glimpse of Liam's reaction. His gaze lingered on her, and I could tell he was just as captivated as I was. The tension between the three of us had been simmering for so long, and it felt like it was about to boil over. Without overthinking it, I decided to catch some sun myself. Slowly, I slipped off my bikini top, letting the warmth of the sun bathe my skin. The sensation of the sun on my bare chest sent a wave of excitement through me, mixing with the charged energy between us. I lay back on my towel, feeling the sun's heat and the heavy gaze of Liam nearby. The air felt thick with possibility, and I could feel my own anticipation growing. As I lay back, soaking up the sun, Sarah turned to look at me, a playful smile spreading across her face. "Damn, I guess I have to one-up you now," she teased. Without hesitation, she reached behind her and untied her bikini top, letting it fall onto the towel beside her. She stretched out, now topless, the sun glinting off her skin as she leaned back into the sand. The playful challenge in her voice lingered, and the tension between us only thickened as Liam watched the moment unfold, his gaze flicking between the two of us. She got up and walked over to Liam. He pulled on the cord of her bottom, and her bikini bottom fell down to the ground. Before he could do anything else, she walked over to me and pulled my bottom off too. The warmth of the sun was nothing compared to the heat between us, something that had been building since the moment we found ourselves alone on the beach. Sarah and I lay side by side, the breeze brushing against our skin, a sense of freedom washing over us. The air felt charged, heavy with the weight of unspoken feelings, desires long hinted at, but never fully expressed. Liam joined us, the space between us shrinking, and it felt like the three of us had slipped into a world where time and reality didn't exist. Just us, the sun, the sand, and the connection that had grown stronger over time. There was a magnetic pull between us, an unbreakable bond as our gazes locked, as if our souls had intertwined in that moment. Every touch, every glance, carried more meaning than words could. It was as though we had become one, moving together with a natural rhythm, attuned to one another's emotions and desires. The world beyond this beach faded away, leaving only the three of us, connected in ways that went beyond the physical. The heat between us had reached a fever pitch, our souls intertwined, flames dancing in the space between us. It felt like the entire world had vanished, leaving only the three of us, completely absorbed in the moment we had created together. The connection was undeniable, and every movement felt effortless, like we were bound by something deeper than words. But just as we hovered on the brink of something we couldn't describe, a shape on the horizon caught my eye. The other's boat, appearing on the shimmering coastline, was drifting closer. Reality snapped back into place, pulling us from our secluded moment as the distant sound of the boat's engine grew. Louder. I exchanged a quick look with Liam, then with Sarah. We all realized the same thing. Our time alone was about to end, and the others were approaching fast. The spell between us was broken, though the weight of what we had shared still hung heavy in the air. Without a word, we scrambled to get dressed. Sarah hurried to tie her bikini top, her movements quick but not without a trace of lingering excitement. I slipped back into my swimsuit, heart still racing, while Liam adjusted his shorts, glancing toward the approaching boat. As we gathered ourselves, the quiet tension between us remained, though now hidden beneath the surface, masked by our casual smiles and laughter as the others neared the shore. What had happened would stay between the three of us, a secret woven into the sand and the sun as we prepared to greet the rest of the group. With the others approaching, we finished getting dressed just in time, sharing knowing glances as we composed ourselves. The rest of the day passed in a blur, laughter, casual conversations, and the usual group dynamics. But beneath it all, the connection we had shared on that secluded beach lingered, unspoken but powerful. Eventually, we all packed up and made our way back to the beach house, the sun beginning to set as the weekend came to a close. The familiar sounds of the house greeted us, a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction filling the air. Everyone was tired, but content, after another long day of sun, salt water, and adventure. As we gathered our things and said our goodbyes, I couldn't help but feel a deep longing inside me. The weekend had been more than just eventful, it had been a turning point. What had happened between Liam, Sarah, and me on that quiet beach was something I couldn't shake, something I didn't want to forget. Even as the others packed up and drove off, I found myself lingering, thinking about what had just unfolded and how it had changed everything. The connection between the three of us was something new, something electric, and I knew it wasn't over. As we left the beach house behind, I couldn't stop myself from already longing for the next getaway, the next opportunity to escape reality and see where things would lead.
Thank you for watching Affair Confessions. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating tales. Until next time, let the secrets unfold and the stories continue.